Hello, hello, welcome to DynaMarisa. This isn't going to be a speedrun attempt, per se. This is more tutorials on the speedrun in and of itself. Stage 13. This is your first boss stage. Capital B, boss. Bring in the Qigong number 2. It is the boss killer. And the very first thing you do when you get into the mission, swap off your Qigong and run towards the giant robot. This enemy takes damage pretty much all of the time, and all over the body. Get right up to a foot, make it your best friend, and shoot it with the Qigong. Whatever foot is already down, it does slide backwards. This particular boss does all of 4 things. It walks, and every time its foot hits the ground, it has an area of effect explosive damage. It runs, basically walking but faster. It can jump, and it can aim itself slightly in the air, but generally when it jumps, it's going to come down and do a large AoE. And then it also tries to hit the ground with its drill. Where the drill comes down is going to be a large area of effect explosive damage. And then those explosions that just kind of trail off from it are also area of effect explosive damage. But they move. They don't home in on you, though. So, as long as you're standing by the back foot when the drill attack goes off, you're fine. You might see the explosion go past you, but that's about it. So strategy, try to stay next to a foot. If the Gundam jumps, run away. If you're not near enough to use the Qigong, have the Gongnir out. Your goal is to just do constant damage on this thing. The longer you can stay near it with the Qigong, the better. But it's going to die. And you have plenty of time to go grab the guaranteed item drops. They're random, but you're guaranteed to get them. And this enters the go ham on attacking it. Basically, yeah. And this is the first of the really in-game cutscenes. I would say it's probably the only in-game cutscene. So, the second Gundam spawns in. You can shoot it, you can't do any damage to it. And then you get a glimpse of the final boss. It's big. It's a giant UFO. At this point, it really does not matter what you do. This is all scripted. If you don't say Mukya, the run is invalid. I'm sorry. It's like Break 'em All. So the evil librarian Patroli has been defeated. Yay, I guess. And then the final boss starts targeting you. Again, you can't actually do any damage to it. The easiest way to dodge all of this mess is just to keep walking in a direction. Doesn't matter what direction, just as long as you're walking. However, if you want to have some fun, there's a little scene here that isn't covered for whatever reason. You can just walk into it. It's over there where that explosion just came down. Again, we're just going to walk over there. By the time you get back over there, there's this section, again, is timed. It's a cutscene. We're waiting for our next satellite to show up. There she is. Over there. She has a Gungnir too. Which makes her the second best ally. And just because we can. Whee! Okay, after you beat the boss, equip the Punisher 15 again. We're going to be holding on to it for a while. Escape from the Scarlet Devil Mansion. That's what SDM stands for, Scarlet Devil Mansion. We've got a little bit of dialogue with Rumelia here. And we're going to walk backwards while it goes off. Because the enemies spawn behind us. If you make the mistake of running away from them, a lot of them tend to get stuck up here, generally fighting your allies, and it goes slow. So you walk backwards into them. Try to make sure none of them get stuck on the destructible terrain, because the terrain will get destroyed. Once you're down to only a few of them left, that's when we start making our way back to roughly where we were at. Once the last one's been destroyed, we run for the staircase and immediately jump off of it. Enemies do spawn on either side of the wings up here. They'll make their way down to us. Our primary concern are the space tanks. You can run while zoomed in, by the way. There's a total of 4 space tanks. Just kind of target one, blow it up, and then target the next one. That's basically how fighting space tanks works, is you focus one until it dies. And with the shot, with pretty much anything, if you can get right up next to a leg so that the majority of your bullets hit, all the better. Whoop. Those explosions have quite a radius on the explosion, which is annoying. The nice thing about the space tanks, as long as you're hitting the main body, they can't... I don't know if they can't or they just don't. But the homing missiles don't spawn for some reason. Which, you know, is good for us. Once the space tanks are down, just concentrate on the everything at this point. There is going to be a third wave that will spawn in. You don't need to worry about the third wave. All you need to worry about is the first and the second wave. Also, Rumelia calling a lot of these things Neanderthals. So at this point, you can just run around, grab whatever you want. We're essentially on a timer for the next, for the conversation to trigger for us to finish the stage. Which is right there, where Rumelia says, "This looks good. I mean, we're just surrounded by enemies. This looks good." She's a vampire. This is the most fun she's had in 1,000 years. You know? Grab some of the weapons for the weapon showcase at the end here. Surface Paradise. We're finally actually outside. Yeah, amazingly, the section where we fought the boss, yeah, that was inside the library. So this stage, we're going to want to run forward. Pretty much this entire mission is going to take place in this front area. And if you get really lucky when you blow up one of the Pachikomas and send it flying at the gate, you can destroy the gate. It's kind of great. So we've got Pachikomas, we got fairies. The most important thing on this stage actually spawns in the second wave. And you'll be able to hear it approaching, which is why I'm being a little bit quiet. It's going to sound like wheels, like a very fast-moving thing. There they are. So I have affectionately dubbed these things Sonics, or Sanics. They're big, they're blue, they like to roll right over you. And their rolling does explosive damage. So if they roll over you from behind like that, you just get knocked down. End of discussion. They also are pretty terrible on circling. Thankfully, they don't really have all that much in the way of health. So, when you see them, target them with your sniper rifle. Unless they're close enough that you can hit them with your shotgun, in which case shoot them with your shotgun. Because you can stun lock these things. One of my previous routing ideas, weapon ideas, was to come into the stage with with one of the machine guns. One of them that had, I think it was 160 ammunition, magazine size. And you just stun lock these things into submission. It was quite entertaining. Sadly, it's also slow. But once you defeat the Sonics and get most of the enemies defeated, then you've got a third wave of more Pachikomas and more fairies, and then that's the mission. So yeah. Important things about this stage, you got Sonics, and you can destroy the gate. That's pretty much it. This is definitely getting to the point where you have a lot more enemies appearing. So you're going to be getting most of your items in this section of this half of the game. Which, honestly, if you've gotten to this point and you haven't gotten one of the weapons that you really want, this is going to be your best chance to get it. Fine. Don't just fly over me. If you already have the weapons, like what we've got, primarily what you're going to be looking for are hats. Each hat will increase your maximum health by 2. You start at 200 health, and you want to get to... reduce recharge time. Yay. You want to get to somewhere between 500 to 600 health. The more health you have, the better. Again, we'll cover that when we get to it. Okay. Save data. Advancing footsteps. I hope everyone remembers the UFOs, because they're back in force. It only takes 3 shots with a Gungnir to take one of these things down. And this thing is extremely accurate, so you can get some pretty crazy shots off. But the general idea is shoot the UFOs and then take out all of the other enemies. If you can, stay up on this platform for the first couple of UFOs, and then you roll off. The UFOs are just... All UFOs are on a timer, and these UFOs are... once they close, they almost immediately open again. There's really not much of a timer to them. So if they close, no worries. If they close on you, no worries. Just kind of aim at them. They'll open back up. This is definitely the stage where you can hear the opening sound of the UFOs, by the way. You honestly don't want to concentrate on the Hachikomas unless they get in your way. Simply because they're going to keep spawning over and over. You're not going to be able to keep up with the UFO's spawning rate. They just open up, they spawn too quickly. Concentrate on the UFOs. There is a maximum enemy limit. So, once the maximum number of enemies have spawned, no more are going to be spawning. So we just kind of shoot them. Okay, they're down. Excuse me. And now we shoot everything. So in the escape from the SDM mission, there at the very, very end, we got a little sneak preview of these red spiders. This is the first mission where you really encounter them. The red spiders do not have a ranged attack like the purple ones. What they have instead, their melee attack does explosive damage. Which is why we rolled off of the tower, because if we stay up there for, honestly, not all that long, the red spiders will destroy the tower. And as soon as it breaks, it loses all collision. And we just go falling. At which point we're surrounded by enemies. So, after we destroy the first UFO, maybe the first two, depending on how quick you're going, we just roll off the tower so that we can get into the position we want to be in, as opposed to the position the game puts us in. It pays to be mobile. So after you blow up the UFOs, this mission kind of turns into... At first we shoot fish in a barrel, because these things are just going to be completely surrounding us. After we get down to the last, 10 or so, it then becomes a game of hide and go seek. A lot of the spiders were chasing us, and unfortunately, they're pretty bad at following. So we just kind of shoot things as they appear. And according to the radar, There's an enemy stuck in this tower, and that has never happened before. Enemies can crawl on the ceiling. Enemies also like to attack your allies rather than you, so that's also a thing to keep in mind. This mission, you are not collecting anything. It takes way too long. Everything is extremely spread out. And, yeah. Thank you everyone who came to the stream. Thank you anyone watching the individual level tutorials. And take care, everyone.